Mo here with Nick Tasso breaking down some stacking options for tonight's slate. You got 15 games once again, a night with a lot of high totals, which is just going to be the case throughout the summertime here.
Absolutely. The weather's heating up, and there's not that great pitching out there. So a lot of runs for a lot of teams lately, it seems like.
Yeah, you and I are both looking at Arizona tonight. Out of course, but back into Chase Field, which has played extremely well for them. All their numbers basically for those guys take a huge bump when playing back at Chase Field.
Absolutely. The thing I like about the Diamondbacks the most is that they have a bunch of hitters who have multiple positions, as well as flexible price tags. So I kind of like that. Plus, they kind of interchange guys a lot. You don't really see the same exact lineup every single night outside of Goldschmidt and Lamb. So you can get some good guys at good prices.
You can, as you meant. I mean, obviously those are the expensive two. David Peralta is a little expensive on DraftKings tonight, but when you get guys like Owings, Drury, even a Descalso, I mean, those guys are not badly priced either, and good numbers against right-handed pitching. You look at Drury. I mean, Drury's actually been kind of a sneaky play against righties this year. Over a 200 ISO, over a 380 WOBA.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't mind that at all. And you look at guys like Gregor Blanco. I think he's a little expensive too. But at the end of the day, they're facing basically a no-name starting pitcher, and they should really do a lot of damage against them.
Yeah, you look at that total, over 5.5 right now. Back at home with Chase Field just playing extremely well for hitters. I like him a lot. It's gonna be one of those ones where it's a little bit on the expensive side, but there are pitchers that you can pay down for. I mean, Michael Fulmer's price on DK, I was expecting a lot higher tonight, but he's in a good spot.
Yep, totally. And one guy that I do want to point out if he's in a good spot again in the lineup would be Hazel Baker. We all remember last year he really went off with the Cardinals right out of the gate and then disappeared, and hopefully he can get things going again.
Yeah, no, I like him a lot. Moving on to my second stack here, I'm taking a look at Washington going up against Luis Castillo. For some reason, I thought Castillo made a start earlier this year, but I guess not. This Washington side, they're just way too tough on right-handed pitching. Castillo, obviously, wasn't bad in the minors, but, I don't think his stuff is just going to equal a shutdown outing against Washington. Just with that lineup, I mean, it's incredibly deep. You got Murphy, Harper from the left side. Trey Turner's better against righties than he is against lefties. And hopefully if we get like Brian Goodwin, over 200 ISO against righties this year. If he's hitting second, he's been a little bit boomer bust, but he's a nice salary relief play because 1 through 6, I mean, this is expensive.
Absolutely. The one thing I do like about Washington, though, is like you said, Trey Turner, he hits righties better. You look at Zimmerman, he can also hit righties as well as Rendon. So I feel like sometimes people don't do a full stack on them, and they kind of just focus on Murphy and Harper. So I think you can get kind of good ownership rate on these righties against the right-handed starting pitcher.
Yeah, definitely. Zimmerman over 300 ISO against righties this year. Yeah, as you point out, I mean, Rendon, usually like him against lefties, but not bad against righties either. 341 WOBA, 181 ISO. So, that's one of those ones where you can mix and match too. If you want to leave out someone, I have no issue with it to save some cash because, I mean, obviously 1 through 6, I mean, they're all carrying a high price tag outside a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the most part, they all perform a little bit better at home, so that's a good thing.
Yep. You're looking at Cleveland going up against Mejia back at home. This has been an offense that was just cruising in Baltimore.
Absolutely. I mean, it started off with Jose Ramirez on a 10-game hitting streak, hitting over 500 in that span. And every single game except the last one were all multi-hit games. So he's on a phenomenal pace right now. Obviously, his price tag's a little bit up, but I even like the surrounding cast around him. You look at like Lindor and other big boppers like Encarnacion, even though it hasn't had the best season so far. I still like him.
Yeah, I do too. He is just off against right-handed bats. This is a guy will just continue to target 369 WOBA, 1.83 runs per 9. Once again, Cleveland with the higher totals. I don't even mind some of those back half guys like Austin Jackson, who's been hitting lefties really well, Yan Gomes. I mean, they're an intriguing way to just kind of tone down that stack and get some good value.
Yeah, and a good thing too, a note on Ramirez, he doesn't have great numbers against lefties, but I mean, looking at the starter, I don't think he's going to last too long, and that bullpen of Minnesota might struggle bringing in some righties. So I definitely think Ramirez is my top guy in the stack, but I definitely like everyone else in there too.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Cleveland a lot. Going to our kind of more contrarian picks, you're looking at the Rays. Anyone against Ubaldo Jimenez, I'm a fan of.
Absolutely. Ubaldo struggles against righties and lefties. And the good thing, too, is like we talked about, Steven Souza destroys right-handed pitching. I know it's not the best ballpark, but he should have some good hacks against them. And then you throw in all those lefties that could really give Ubaldo Jimenez some struggles. So that's why they're kind of my contrarian stack for tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I just don't think people are probably going to use them as one-offs. I don't see people going the whole stack.
No, absolutely not. When you have a lot better ballparks out there, it doesn't make a lot of sense on most nights. But if you're looking to take down GPPs, which this is obviously what we're talking about, you got to find those ones that has still good amount of potential, and there's going to be low ownership.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think I'm looking contrarian way. Chicago White Sox, Joe Cotton, I mean, just kind of hasn't really gotten together. Looked fine in his last start, but this is a guy who's been rocky a lot this year. And going up against a White Sox team that I feel like is maybe overperformed, but they're in the middle of a nice little streak here. Hitting well, coming off a nice game yesterday. You look at Cotton, 358 wOBA to left to righties, 41% hard contact rate. Facing guys like Jose Abreu, Avisel Garcia, Todd Frazier, but Matt Davidson's crushing the ball. I feel like people always overlook him. That lineup actually has some pop, and there's actually some stolen base upside if Hansen's leading off again. So over a 5-run total back at home, warm weather. I mean, White Sox are definitely not going to be looked at in terms of a stack.
Yep, agree with you. They're one of only 5 teams that have hit over 300 in the past week or so, and as you can see, that they've all been slowly coming around. They don't have the huge power that you would expect from these guys, but there's still a decent amount of power in these bats. And like you said, Cotton really, he hasn't been great. He's had 1 or 2 really good starts of the year, and then he's kind of fizzled out.
Anyone just missed the cut for you? I know we usually narrow it down to 3 apiece. Anyone else kind of catch your eye?
Yeah, it's kind of silly, but I think Philly a little bit. Going up against a lefty in that ballpark. I know Corbin's been good, but I think they still have some power, and I'm still on Franco. He seems to be turning it around. I know it's taken a little bit longer than expected, but I definitely like him. And even that Altuve guy, he seems pretty good too.
Yeah, I was going to bring them up. I like their prices, because this is a night where there is Archer, there's Fulmer, there's Strasburg, there's Alex Wood. You have these Phillies guys at pretty cheap prices, and I like the fact that they just saw Corbin like a week ago, and they didn't look great against him, but second time around, it could be a little bit better for them now that they have seen him, and in that ballpark, it's a nice upgrade.
Yeah, totally. If you need some salary saving, definitely like a few guys in this Phillies lineup. Even Herrera, even though he's lefty, he did have a good streak about a week ago, and hopefully he could find that again in this good ballpark.
Yeah, no, so I'm with you there. I like that call quite a bit. Phillies are kind of that cheap value stack if you need it.
What about you? What's the cut?
I will note that the Red Sox have a 6-run total, but I'm not buying it.
Is that?
Yeah, I don't get it. I'm not completely sure.
Yeah, I saw that and I just laughed, so I just kept on going.
Yeah, we're smart to realize that we're not jumping on that wagon tonight.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of people will, which is good for us.
Yeah, I'm kind of intrigued with someone from this Cubs-Marlins game, probably actually more so the Marlins. Lackey's really struggled with lefties this year, 371 wOBA, 38% hard contact rate. Even against righties, it's just been pretty average, 326 wOBA. So Miami could be that sneaky stack. I mean, I love Gordon, Stanton, Yelich, Ozuna, Bohr. I mean, there's a lot of upside there, and they're not badly priced at all.
Oh, I can definitely see that working out.
So that's probably the one that missed the cut for me that I was kind of looking at. And I think it was just more of ballpark that killed it. But obviously this time of year, it's not bad.
Not at all.
So that's it for us. Those are our stacks that we're looking at. Who do you think scores the most runs tonight?
Scores the most runs. Well, hopefully it's one of our stacks, right?
I would hope so, yeah.
I'd probably go with Washington.
Washington? Yeah.
Even though it was your stack, I think maybe.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they score the most runs as well. To be a little bit different, though, I'll say, yeah, I mean, it's not contrarian, but I'll say Arizona puts up a crooked number too.
Yeah, absolutely. not sure if it was the other day or last week when I talked about St. Louis against Baltimore, and St. Louis had tons and tons of runs. So maybe I'm on a trend here.
Hey, not bad. The offense is starting to finally click around with that front four.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's going to wrap things up with us. You can head over to DaveFantasyCafe.com, check out our great tools and content.